All right, everybody. Antique Motorcycle Revival. David here with you, and today we're going to be working on the 1942 WLA. And if you own an old motorcycle, especially an 82-year-old motorcycle, you're going to work on them. If you don't like working on them, that might not be your thing. But I love the old one and the old ones, and I love working on them. Obviously, I've got them everywhere here. And today we're going to talk about why do Harley Davidsons leak oil, and what part of this is legitimate and what part of it is just kind of their really shouldn't have just got a bad rap. So we're going to look at that today for a few minutes and talk about it. We are having a little bit of an oiling problem. I went on vacation, and I want to show you here what's brought this up. The motorcycle here is leaking. You can see I had a pan under it. I suspected what we're going to work on today was the problem, and I want to show you a little bit about why this is happening and everything. Now, up until 1936 and 37 for the flatheads, they had what they called a total loss system. Okay, and so you would have your oil up here at the gas tank, and they would had a little pump on them, and you would set that. Some of them had a drip system, almost like a IV or something, had a little drip system in it that would drip oil and start in the top through pinholes and through various sections, through the pins and into the bearings and everything, and it would come out at the bottom of the motor and just drip out on the ground. You got to remember, there's no concrete, there's no pavement back then hardly at all. Everything's a dirt road. Oil was cheap, and that's the way they run these motorcycles for years. And so when you see any motorcycle, old motorcycle pre-1936, you know they're going to have oil at the bottom, and they're designed to do that. If you don't have oil in the bottom, it's because you don't have any oil in it. You probably need to check your tank. And so, but this in 1936 and 1937 on the flatheads, they started redesigning this and to what they call a circulating oil system. It's the way they work today. And I'm going to show you a little bit about how that works real quick and why I'm having a little bit of oil issues with this one. The oil, I've got some of this taken off right now and got it ready for the video and try to save a little bit of time. But on this motorcycle, you have an oil tank on this side. This is not the gas tank. It's a two-piece, and you have an oil tank on this side and gas tank on this side. And you can see right here, these are the same set of 45 tanks. The gas actually goes back in here like this, and this is your gas side. And then the oil side is on this side, which doesn't hold near as much, but it's kind of caved in like that, set in like that. And your oil lines come off of the bottom of it here. Now, the way they're designed is that they will have an oil line, the oil line here coming in to your pump, to your oil pump. This is where it begins to send the oil with not a lot of pressure, but some. It begins to send the oil through the motor, and it works its way back down. And then when it comes down, I think they say there's 6 ounces of oil in the motor at one time. That's all it's ever supposed to be in it. And down at the bottom here, you can see another oil line right here. And this is another pump. This is called a scavenger pump because it gets the oil off the bottom of the motor, and it pumps it back up to the oil tank. It comes down again and feeds into the oil pump and goes through the motor. So it's constantly a circulating system that recirculates the oil. Now, I'm going to show you why that I'm having some issues with the oil over there. And I went on vacation. I thought I'm going to give this about a week. If I'm right about this problem, then it's going to have some oil over there, and it did. They don't hardly have a seal. You know, that primary on that side is not like today's motorcycles. It's just open. That's just a cover that covers the chain, and it's open. Now, the other thing that gives them a little bit of a bad rap is back in the day, and this is all the way I've had into the, I guess, 70s. I know in the 60s, they had what we call a oilers on the chains. And so they would also have a small little oiler that come off the pump here and would drip onto the chain and oil the chain. Same thing on the primary side. Over there's another chain that hooks the motor to the transmission, and there's an oiler goes straight through there, and it drips, maybe a drip or two a minute. And so these kind of things, when you have oilers like that, you're going to have oil on the bottom. So they were designed that way. They weren't designed to be dry on the bottom for years and years. And I've got a Road King over here that has a 103 in it, and I've had several Evos and stuff over the years. There's no oil ever under these Harley Davidsons, these newer ones. They're not designed to do that. They don't leak oil. That motorcycle not only does it not leak, it's got 42,000 miles. It doesn't leak oil. It doesn't use oil at all, a drop between oil changes. So that's sort of the thing there. Now, in the 1970s, Harley went through a difficult time. A lot of motorcycle and different manufacturers were going out of business. They struggled. AMF comes in and takes over and runs the company, but they didn't do all that good of a job. They're credited for saving Harley Davidson, but the motorcycles in the 70s were kind of loose on their tolerances and stuff, and so they did have a tendency to leak oil when they shouldn't have been leaking oil. But overall, that's the reason that you see oil on a lot of them. The newer ones today, you're not going to have oil leaks on them. They're building a really good motorcycle. But so what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how this works and why that I'm having trouble out of this thing today. We're going to take this pump off and take a look at it here and see what the problem is. I'll show you what the problem is anyway. But the reason that this is leaking over there on the other side is it's actually over time, it's got a check valve in here, and it's filling up the motor and going out the seal on the crank seal over there. It just comes out slowly out of that and then leaks. And so we're going to try to work on that a little bit today, fix that problem here, and I don't think it's going to take too awful long to do it. We're going to clean it up and figure it out. I changed the oil, and this one, they don't even have oil filters in them. So I changed the oil on this one and they run a lot hotter. The iron heads and stuff was the technology of the day. They run a lot hotter than today's motorcycles do. I'll change the oil on this motorcycle anywhere 700-800 miles, 800 miles. I hardly ever run at 900. Just keep the oil changed all the time, and it's usually needing it by the time you do that. I had to drain all the oil out of the tank in order to take this off, obviously, or it would have just faded out the lines here. There's the oil pump. Let me get an older rag. Hold just a second. So here it is. And what you have here, you can see that ball in there. You have check. You have a check valve right there, and you have that actually stops the oil from moving. That looks like to me that has something in it. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is take this thing apart and clean that up a little bit and try to figure out why it's getting past that check valve and just filling the motor up and then leaking over into it. So let's see here. Get this thing off. I may have put it in a vise. That's what I did last time. And I know what everybody is thinking ahead of time. If I remember right, this requires a little bit of doing. Let's see what this one is first. So you have one plug here, and there's another screw inside there that has an actual, and I'll look it up in the book before I put it back together, but it is reset exactly, I think, a 1/2 inch, and we'll set that exactly the way that it goes. Let me get another screwdriver here. Let me turn the light on here so we can both see a little better. All right. This just started all of a sudden. This thing was not leaking any at all. Another way that I knew that this was a problem, that it was filling up with oil, is when I first started the motorcycle, it was smoking, which told me that it was just filling the motor, the bottom end of the motor's getting full of oil, and it shouldn't be. All right, there is one of the ball bearings. What I did, I ordered these ball bearings and from a steel manufacturer in the United States is where I got mine from. You can see that one still looks really good. And then okay, I hate to do this, folks. I know somebody's going to tell me not to, and you shouldn't be using that. I agree with you, but those things are tight. This is the kind of mess you've got when you're building 2 or 3 motorcycles at the same time. There's another one. Now, what I'm going to do is take this thing apart and clean it really good. And then I'll show you, you got to clean these, but you got to seat them. And so over here, this parts cleaner. You can see down there at the bottom where that is, there's a seat down there. And what happens, this ball goes down there, and that is, around that seat, kind of like a needle seat on a carburetor, it goes down there under the pressure here. And what happens is that it will get little places in it, or dirt even. It can get a lot of different things, but it gets placed down in there, and it lets a little bit of oil pass by and then fill up the motor, which it shouldn't be. There shouldn't be any oil down there, but it'll fill it up over time if it starts bypassing in this. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how that you reseat something like this, and the fix for it. So what I did, I made a tool. Z-tool. I took a screwdriver that wasn't worth anything, and I took one of these steel ball bearings, and I welded that on there. Look what a sloppy weld job. Just in case you wanted to let me know it is. But it works, and you can see there where that I have seated that before down there. And then what you will do, you will take some valve grinding compound. You put just a little bit on there. Let's see, my next move before I do that. Let's see if this is possible. I'd like to clean that. When you have a camera on you, it seems like you can't do anything fast enough. I've learned that's a difference between somebody watching you do something. So what you want to do, is get the grime out of this first before you put that seating compound in and get that in there. You can see right there where the rag is actually in there now. And cleaning that up. And then the same thing on this other side. Yeah, when the old motorcycle, it started smoking when I first started it. And I noticed some oil over there, and I knew then what the problem would be. This will be a fix. It'll fix it right up. Yeah, that edge doesn't look all that good, so this will be a good thing here. Get this done. All right. All right, here we go. You stick your ball bearing down in there. You can hear it smoothing. Smooth it out just lightly, just back and forth. Hear it? Hear the difference? That grinding compound breaks down, and this is kind of a one-step grinding compound, but I've had pretty good luck out of it. All right. Hear it, the difference? You can get smooth, and you can feel it actually get real smooth and everything, and then we'll clean it up good and